Previously on 4-Letter Nerds.
And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind.
Dan, I need to bring you back.
Bone of the Father, unwillingly given.
Bone of the Father unwillfully given.
Flesh,
Flesh of the servant
servant,
willingly sacrificed.
willingly sacrificed.
Son of a bitch will rise again! I can't seem to get a hold of my... I think we're gonna need more blood.
Mr. Burgundy, you have a massive erection.
When I think of villains that rise from the ashes, I think of classic literature. There are countless movie versions of Dracula, but the one that's going to go closest to Bram Stoker's novel is Francis Ford Coppola's film version. And you see Gary Oldman's portrayal as Dracula in that as this creature that is really struggling with the evil that is inside of him.
Look what your God has done for me.
Because when he sees Winona's character, he sees the same beauty that he found in his old wife that had lost and committed suicide. He wants to bring her into the seduction and the lust of being the vampire, but at the same time, it's almost condemning her soul to hell like him, and he doesn't want to do that. Even though she asks for it, she's got that lust that she wants to be a vampire, but at the end, letting him die, so the curse is off of her.
The funny thing about that movie is that the only good performance in the whole movie was by the bad guy. If you want to know what the most terrible movie performance by Keanu Reeves ever was, get drunk and watch Bram Stoker's Dracula with a group of friends and laugh hysterically.
Whoa! I think, but first, they should get drunk while they're watching Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
And then watch Bram Stoker's
Transition
Dracula and be
scenes
like,
over.
whoa! Bill!
Hey, Anthony Hopkins, I thought was enjoyable.
Ted.
Anthony Hopkins was good. It was not a great performance. The only performance, in my opinion, that was very notable in that movie was Gary Oldman.
Tom Waits.
Tom Waits
is pretty awesome.
as
Tom Waits is
Renfield
pretty
in that.
awesome.
There's a
Oh, yeah,
couple
no,
really
Gary
good
Oldman.
performances in there.
Angel and Spike are both vampires, and
Do they sparkle?
Fuck no, they don't sparkle.
Angel's played with David Boreanaz, who you love, so
I
you
do
can't.
love
He's a
you know.
slab of meat.
Wing!
In the Whedonverse, vampires are basically demons trapped in human bodies. The difference with Angel is that he's the first vampire to get his soul back, and so he basically has to deal with the ramifications of the evil that he's done, and he's
Feels remorse.
damaged by it, and he feels like he has to redeem himself, and so he basically becomes like a crusader of the night, and tries to help people who can't be helped. And
So he's Batman.
Yeah, he's
Totally
Batman.
Batman.
He's totally Batman. And Spike was, I think, my favorite bad guy on that show, because he was an asshole, and he was very witty.
That's my radio. And you're what? Shocked and disappointed? I'm evil.
At some point, he casts a spell because he's trying to become something else, and he ends up getting his soul back, and so you kind of see him as he's like completely frayed and sort of dealing with the same type of stuff that Angel had dealt with before, but you never really got to see him deal with.
One of the goofiest and most nostalgic characters for me is from about when I was in elementary school, and it was from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. There was a couple different types of people who watched this show. There was boys who were in 6th grade who did it because they got to look at girls in skin-tight clothing and blah, blah,
Pink
blah.
Power Ranger was hot.
Power Rangers!
While the
There you
Asian
go.
Power Ranger was, I had yellow fever when I was
When you were a kid.
Do you remember her name? Side note, because I had to argue with my boyfriend about
Is
this
it like
the other
Amy
day.
or Kim or something?
Kim was the pink one.
Kim was the pink one.
No, I kept
think
wanting-
Amy. I think Amy
Nope.
was the no.
Her
it
name's
was-
Trini.
Tranny? Her name's
Trini.
Trini.
She's a trainee.
Trini trainer.
She's basically a tranny.
So much for yellow fever.
There was the purest form of nerd, which I don't think I've reached that lower level.
Yes, you have.
That
Let's
appreciated
move the camera over here to look at the magic cards that are spread out all over.
that appreciated the blue or the Black Ranger. there was the jock dudes who appreciated the Red Ranger, and then there was me, who really fucking, like, wholeheartedly loved the Green Ranger when he was evil, and then he becomes good, and he becomes the good Green Ranger, and then
becomes the White
he has
Ranger.
even more of a metamorphosis and becomes a beautiful
Suspense.
butterfly who gets the most fucking metal Zord ever, which is Saber-Toothed Tiger.
Tiger Zord, power up!
And he becomes the White Ranger.
And he had long hair and was a babe.
I don't even remember that character.
When I was in 5th or 6th grade,
Johnny, his name is Johnny.
I was not a Power Rangers.
you were a
I thought it
Beetleborgs fan?
Big bad Beetleborgs?
No, he was into Jason and Freddy and
I
whatnot.
was doing Jason. I was watching Jason and Freddy during those times. Maybe some Godzilla mixed in.
And I was a big fan of Regulus Black because we never actually see him or hear from him in the entire series, the entire Harry Potter series. So we knew that RAB was somebody who had been a Death Eater but who stole a Horcrux from Voldemort, and that was an essential piece that they needed to destroy him. And he swapped it out for a fake, and then nobody could figure out who RAB was. Just to like toot my own horn.
Beep, beep, motherfucker.
I totally guessed from the beginning. I was like, oh, well, I remember when we had the family tree, it showed that his name was Regulus Argus Black, and so RAB is clearly him. He was really great because the only time he was discussed up to that point was just somebody who was kind of a piece of shit and just somebody who really loved to cause pain and was a Death Eater but was kind of a wimp too. So the fact that he kind of in this twist of fate like helped save the world was really great.
Just to be clear, unless you're a super nerd, you're probably not going to follow any of that, and that's okay.
Sorry.
But no. It's
He was
okay.
a
It's
giant
okay. No, it's good.
racist.
It's good because those of you who are super nerds and would follow that, they're going to love everything you just said. So that's,
To clarify, he was a giant racist that was part of the Wizard Ku Klux Klan.
But he was a really wimpy racist. He was
Yeah.
one that was generally not great at magic and that was looked down upon by his older brother Sirius Black.
The other character that goes to classic literature that I think is a villain character of the whole thing, but that definitely turns to the protagonist at the end is Ebenezer Scrooge. Christmas
Right.
Carol.
who is your favorite Scrooge in all the movies?
I love George C. Scott's portrayal
Okay.
and Christmas Carol.
I'm gonna go with Bill Murray.
Michael Caine.
But Bill Murray, Bill Murray as
Michael
Scrooge is a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And a bah humbug to you.
Oh wait, you like Muppets Christmas Carol?
Oh, yeah.
Michael Caine?
Yeah.
I had a really weird boner for Michael Caine when I was a kid.
Whoa. Everybody has a weird boner.
We're
for Michael
all
Caine.
attracted to Michael
Let's
Caine,
not.
okay?
Let's not. We won't talk about Michael
She
Caine.
had a boner was a really weird boner.
Sorry, lady boner.
Alright.
I'll clarify.
I have also had a lady boner for Michael Caine for most of my life, so let's just put it all right.
Until recently.
Scrooge is that.
Yes.
that
I
character.
think that Scrooge is probably the most pure representation of Rising from the Ashes character. But the most well-known is Vader. We talked about Vader in the Heroes episode in The Fall from Grace, and he really is the most full circle of the stories. He starts out a good guy, he turns into a bad guy, turns back into a good guy, and dies. And he is so many different types of rebirth, and he represents so many different things that he is the most dynamic character. It's just too bad that he was anally raped.
Hey, what the hell are you doing here?
By George Lucas.
And Hayden Christensen.
Hayden
Both of
Christensen. It
them.
was a
They,
double team.
Wait, you
they
left
did
out
him
his-
rotisserie
They
style.
did.
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
fucked him over and over.
You left out the part where he does have a full circle, he dies, but then he has to live on as a glowing blue Hayden Christensen for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Digitally.
Eternity.
Digitally placed.
Digital glowing blue Hayden
Glowing,
Christensen
glowing.
alongside Alec Guinness.
The final villain that we are going to talk about in the Villains That Rose from the Ashes episode is a villain that did not rise from the ashes, and that's George Lucas. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
The end.
Well, waste not, want not. Does a body good.
Mother